Derek.
All right, now we're live.
Don't any of you have the guts to play for blood?
I'm your huckleberry. That's just my game.
We are MythVision. Welcome back. I'm excited. Get to hang out with you guys and have a good time on a Monday night. Just took my kids to get a haircut, and they're having a blast. I made the little thumbnail. Can you see it? Are you looking? And the reason why I made this thumbnail is me and Neal from Gnostic Informant. We've been doing some crazy stuff. Let's just put it this way. We have, like, David Litwa and other academics, when we throw these things at them, like, hey, do you think there's something to this? Do you think there's this connection? And we're pulling out texts that are written by Romans in the 1st century BC and various things that look and sound very similar to what you would see in the New Testament. And even they're like, damn, that looks pretty interesting. I'm not sure if there's a connection, and I couldn't prove it if there was, but we're looking nonetheless. So anyone watching this today, thank you. Like the video. Don't forget that, please. And with that being said, welcome, my brother, Neal. How are you, man?
What's going on?
Man, it's going, brother. It's going. We've been working our butts off, haven't we?
Oh yeah, just nonstop. From wake up till sleep, editing videos and planning out next lives and all that stuff.
That is true. That is true. You've been editing the crap out of my content, man, being a huge help, which, you know, I saw it in you a while ago when you were doing videos. You actually interviewed me, and I was like, this guy's got the spunk. He's got it. You know, I described it when my grandfather was passed away. The whole town in Cooperstown, New York, up there where you live, came to his funeral because he's just one of those guys everyone knew. And some rando came up on the stage and was like, Paul Lambert, when I met him back in 1974 or whatever it was, I knew he had it. And I don't know what it is, but he had it. And it was like magical, man. Goosebumps stood on everybody's arms and they knew, well, you got it, Neal. And I believe in you, man. I love the adventure you're on and the research that you're doing. And you've been bringing up things to me I've never seen. You're reading crap. I'm like, what's it called again? And you're like, dude, Diodorus, syphilitis, and hepatitis. And I'm like, huh? What? Seriously, though. Thanks, man. I love you, dude. I really do. And we just met last year, and we got a lot in common.
Yeah, last summer in July I met you. And by the way, you've been a huge inspiration, not just because of this channel, but because you're also in the same boat as far as recovery and all that stuff. So I couldn't have found a better person to look up to than you. So,
well, look, dude, we look up to each other, so it's not a one-way street. And what you've done has inspired me to want to read things I wouldn't have, look for things that scholars may not try to connect, which we're going to talk about some of those things tonight. I think some of the scholars are connecting some of the things we might mention, but there are some things you kind of have to put a question mark on and ask yourself, is New Testament scholarship completely consumed with Hebrew Bible observation? All they're looking for is Hebrew Bible connections, or Septuagint technically connections. Is there more to the picture? And I think there is, which Dennis McDonald, David Litwa, others have been pointing out, like, you're not looking at the Greco-Roman world, ladies and gentlemen. And we're trying to do that, but we have never read all this stuff. We're just now starting this adventure. So I want to give a shout out to everybody in the chat real quick. Daniel, what is up? He says, damn, Neal's coming on. Sweet. Apollos won't be able to make it. Good to see you. Craig and Ford. Oh, man. John, what's up, John? The Riddler. We are MythVision. Dominus is God, not real. Minnie with the tide vision. Oh, Carl, thank you so much for showing up. PJ, only reason why anyone would say isn't really is because you don't know God. You know, I used to think I absolutely knew God, and then I met myself. And then I met myself, and then it was like, whoa, what I kept thinking was God was me, like talking to me. But what were you going to say?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. It's always been deep down inside yourself. But you know what's crazy about that comment is that someone like you and I are both in the same boat when it comes to this.
Yeah.
We legitimately tried to go to church and tried to follow a church, follow a pastor, follow a certain sect or denomination of Christianity, and actually tried to and we did believe it. We didn't try, we did believe it. But for that not to work, you and I both have our own personal objective proof that it's not true. Like you can't I can't share that with everyone else, but you and I both know that it says in the text, you give a mustard seed, it should grow into an entire tree, and it didn't happen. So it's like they can call us liars all they want, but we were there. It is what it is, you know.
The more you like, it becomes silly after a while. It honestly does, because the more you actually educate yourself on this stuff, the more you realize, like, okay, if whatever you're saying is God and whatever's true, it ain't found in the literature, and it's absolutely something that does not require a book. And this book has horrendous stuff in it. You might find some wisdom, sure. There's some wise stuff, but there's some really bad stuff too. Do you need this book to find the good? No. And yeah, there's a lot. There's just a lot there. Just continuing saying shout out to everyone. Melody Joy in the chat. Everybody who's in here. Sobek, Jason, James Apperson. Is it Rach? Rach? I probably butchered your name. I'm so sorry. Roger. God is imaginary. The right stuff. I'm just showing love to everybody real quick here. Thank you so much. Is it Caterpillar?
Caterpillar, yeah.
Caterpillar.
Like caterpillar.
Okay. Thank you so much for the compliment.
Oh, yeah, by the way, for the chat who's watching, I have an idea. I just thought of this. This is not planned. If you guys have some real esoteric connections between different religions, Christianity and like Greek mythology, super chat it. Bring it up to bring it to our attention. Let's see what everybody's. Let's see who has the best one.
Hey, and look, we're no experts. We say that up front. Fair warning if I haven't already told you that. Just letting everybody know. We're just like you. We love exploring this stuff, learning this stuff. And I can't tell you how often I learn from the audience. They make me go, I've never thought about that. I'm like learning from them. And they're looking at things I've never looked at. So
of course. Especially people like Jason Sobek and Constellation Pegasus and all those guys who are always super chatting. They always say stuff that's way over my head. I'm like, what did you just say? And then I look it up, I'm like, holy shit, they're right. There is something there. Dude, they're always onto something.
We're gonna mention one of these. What's the text you told me to get recently?
Oh, the Elegies. The Elegies, yeah. Ooh, the Elegies.
Hold up. Oh, and guess what I got in the mail?
What'd you get? Oh, yeah. That's a classic, instant classic right
Found
there.
Christianities in opposition to lost Christianities. He wants to go beyond Bart Ehrman on this and take it to him and show him why. Yeah. He's got the translation in there of the Nicene preacher's sermon. But yeah, that's the one I was telling you about. Yeah, I don't know if you could see that. Tibulus Elegy. Now, what that is these are hymns that were chanted in the Roman Imperial cult right before. So in the days of the Augustus era, obviously this is before Christianity took hold. Those were religious prayers. That's why they're called elegies. Now, right in the beginning of that, book 1, there's something about a lamb dying for you. You want to read that? Well, here, we got a super chat real quick. Yeah. And that is actually in the vein of this. So, Minnie Vantison, thank you for the super chat, my friend. Really appreciate the support. Name some examples of connections you see. I suspect he means related to non-Jewish or non-Hebrew Bible or Septuagint connections that we might be talking about in the New Testament. Where do I even start? Now, like you said before, I'm not an expert.
I'm just a guy that loves to look into this stuff. I could be wrong.
Right.
So everything I say, please do not take it as fact.
No, go look into it.
Look into it. Right, exactly. Take it with a grain of salt and look into it. Now, with that being said, with that out the way, I really like looking at Augustus, because when Julius Caesar, by the way, this is another thing I just found out the other day. When Poppy the Great conquers Jerusalem, who, by the way, Steve Mason, I'm going in all these by the ways.
Yeah.
Steve Mason told me that when Vespasian conquered Jerusalem, it was fake. They already had it. They already had all the Roman soldiers set up. All of their, basically, it was just it was their little rebellion, and they just stomped it. Poppy the Great actually went to war against a real army and actually really conquered Jerusalem and Judea. Anyways, long story short, 63 BC was the year. The same year that they conquered Jerusalem, they took away their high priest, Hyrcanus II, and Julius Caesar became Pontifex Maximus, which is the high priest of Rome. Now, with that being said, when he gets killed a decade later, or no, 2 decades later, he adopts in his will Augustus, and so through the will,
are you talking about Octavian?
Octavian,
yeah. Okay.
Octavian is Augustus.
Yeah.
So through the will of Julius Caesar from his death, he adopts Augustus, who now styles himself as son of God, because during the funeral, his spirit went up to heaven with Venus, because he's the son of Venus. So Augustus becomes the son of God. He styles himself that way, and his whole entire reign is he's really obsessed with religion. Like, if you read about Cassius Dio and all the people who write about Augustus, Plutarch, the biggest things that he was doing for his 40-year long, huge long reign was he was rededicating temples the whole time. He was a religious reformer of the Roman Empire. So I like to look at Augustus as sort of if you're going to come up with a religious leader or a messiah-like figure and you're creating a story, I think you're going to look at him as the traits that you want to. He's the norm. He's the bar.
Look, let's be honest, right? If you read the Hebrew Bible, how often is the king or the leader or the ruler or the messiah merciful? In fact, think about this. All right, we look at Islam, and early Islam was very 7th century period. This is not a blame game. I'm not an apologist Christian trying to attack Islam. I'm pointing out that Muhammad, if he existed, was a warlord. But so was Heraclius, and so was the emperor of Persia. My point is this bloodthirsty. And you know what their examples were? If you look in the Quran often, is the Hebrew prophets. They're looking at Joshua. They're looking at Moses. Bring your sword, cut them, kill them, boom, right? Obviously, morality has developed quite a bit, so you're not killing every man, woman, and child like the Bible says to do. Yeah, you keep the children for slaves and the women for sex slaves. Duh. But anyway, I digress. Let's not get caught up there. My point is,
right?
It is not a normal thing for a Hebrew example anywhere biblically to take enemies, the enemies of your people, combative enemies, and show them mercy.
Right.
Turn the absolute other cheek and show mercy in light of them. It would be the dumbest thing you can imagine, right?
Right.
We find those elements of that philosophical morality that you can imagine there, of turn the other cheek and showing mercy when you would think, no, don't show mercy. Julius Caesar did that.
Right.
He did crap that you would go, no, he slapped you on the cheek. Why would you turn the other cheek? That's the mentality that you find in Jesus. And it makes me wonder, is there a connection?
Yep.
I don't know.
And so another one I like to point out is Alexander the Great. Now, if you haven't read the Greek Alexander romance, you are missing. If you're into comparative religion and mythology, it is number one on the list. Is read the Greek Alexander romance, because it has everything that a Messiah character has to have. He is begotten by God in the desert. He goes out to meet the oracle of Ammon, and he says, "What happened to my father?" And he says, "Your father is me." Ammon, the god, says that to him. Mm-hmm. He says, "You will conquer the world." And then so you got this character who is he has God by his side, and he does everything that God tells him to do. He conquers the whole world, and then dies. And at age 32. It's like this.
Yeah.
Like you see, I don't know. There's a lot of connections there. I think. Like I said,
or at least it's in the air. One thing we're getting at with this emperor thing and about Julius Caesar, who practically becomes the high priest of Jerusalem as well, in a sense. I mean, he's the ruler of the world at the moment, right, including that territory. And he was a very religious man, as you said. Like, the guy honored every god if there was a god, he said, pay that god respect. Right. I'm watching that movie, that show Rome. You turned me on to it. And there's moments where Julius Caesar's like showing mercy when any other emperor would have cut their head off. And who's the guy? It's not Pompey. Who's his right hand man in that whole show? It's
Mark Antony.
Mark Antony. I don't know why I couldn't. And he's like, "Why did you do that?" And Julius Caesar's like, "Listen, this guy survived all of this. There must be a god protecting him. If I fight him, I'm fighting that god. I'd rather have that god on my side." And you go, that's the mentality they had in the ancient world? Quite interesting, but nonetheless, it makes you think. Yeah. So this thing you're going to read.
Oh, yeah, I'll read it right now. So
before you do, this is what is this?
They call it the Elegies, written by Tibulus. Now, this was read by people in temples during the Roman Imperial cult era. So these were Latin elegies that you would hear if you went to a temple for, say, I don't know, Dionysus or something.
Right.
Like, these are pretty, But anyways, this is in 50 BC, around there, like somewhere in the 1st century BC. And he writes, "The lamb will die for you. Around her country boys will cry, 'Oh, give us crops and vintage wine. If only I could live with little happy now, at least, and now given the long trips, shun the rising dog star.'" And it says, "Or carry home a cradled baby goat or lamb, abandoned by an inattentive mother." All right, long story, but that first sentence, "The lamb will die for you." You see this, like, this slaughtering of a sacrificial lamb for you, and then right at the following sentences are agricultural, talking about the rising dog star, which is summer. So you get there, right there, you see within this religious text, you see the trope of a sacrificial lamb dying for you and giving you vintage wine and good crops, right? Like,
that's why I want the audience to empathize with me. Okay, I'm just a human. I make mistakes. I really want to explore what the truth is about these things and what we could find out. And I've heard lots of academics say there is no agricultural dying and rising motif like the ancients, right? We know Osiris is a dying and rising agricultural deity. We know Baal is an agricultural dying and rising deity. We know a lot of these ancient deities are agricultural in nature. They may have celestial significance, but in nature around them, yearly renewals, that kind of thing. And I'm reading 1 Corinthians 15. And I, without having filters on, protecting me from saying, "Oh, no, it can't have any agricultural significance," Paul keeps using the sun, moon, and stars.
What about the parable?
And the seed that plants in the ground, and he uses agricultural terminology. The parables, like you talk about, are loaded with agriculture. And people want to go, this is purely literally farmers at the time only that this is talking to. But the more I find out from other experts like Robin Faith Walsh, I'm finding out from others who think these gospels were written by elites, probably not from for or to farmers. These are for educated people. I doubt they're farmers themselves. I don't know, but it makes you wonder, like, is agricultural renewal or somehow something going on here? What do you think?
And what about the parables? The parables that Jesus is using are all about planting seeds. They're all about vines. They're all about, the husbandman. And the husbandman is somebody who takes the crops that are ready for, you know what I mean? Like, that's what the husbandman does. He cuts down the crops. It's all agriculture. It sounds like a harvest. He talks about heaven and hell. He's like, the harvest is going to come. And he's like, the bad
the wheat
crops,
and the tares.
The wheat and the tares. It's all agricultural. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. If someone can prove me otherwise, my ears are open. But it just sounds. Can you blame me for feeling that way after, like, that's what it sounds like?
Yeah, it really does. We've got other super chats, but I wanted to read one more thing if I can.
Yeah.
And by the way, Neal's editing a little video where I read some of this, but I get into this much further. So I'm in Herodotus, which you brought this up with
Zalmoxis.
This is the Zalmoxis thing I wanted to mention, but I thought it was interesting to see.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So for those who are interested, I'm going to just read this as briefly as I can. So it's in book 4 in Herodotus. 94 to 96 is what I'm going to read here, and I'll try and read it quickly. And if I butcher any pronunciations, I'm Derek, the host of MythVision. I have that right. Duh. That's all I do is mispronounce. So, all right. As to immortality, the Gatai believe that they do not really die, but that when one of them passes away, he goes to Zalmoxis, a sort of divinity, whom some of them also call Gebelesis. Every 5th year, they send off one of their number, who has been selected by lot, to serve as a messenger to Zalmoxis with instructions as to what they want at that particular time. This is how they dispatch him. 3 men who are appointed to the task each hold a javelin, while the other seizes the hands and feet of the man being sent to Zalmoxis, or Salmoxis, swing him up in the air and throw him onto the points of the javelins. I mean, like, this is some primitive shit, dude. Let's just be honest. This is, look, throw him up, and if he lands on the javelin, well, the gods have something to say. This is some old stuff, okay? If the man dies from being impelled, they believe that the god is well disposed toward them. But if he does not die, they blame the messenger himself, accusing him of being a bad man, and seek another to send in his. Someone has to die. The point is, damn it, someone's dying today. Yep. And yeah, so let's keep going. Accusing him of being a bad man and seek another to send in his place. They give the messenger instructions while he's still alive. These same Thracians shoot their arrows up into the sky, aiming at thunder and lightning as they shout out threats at the god. And they believe that no other god exists but their own. So it makes you wonder, like, who are these Thracians who believe that no other gods exist but their own god? Kind of right. Weird. If there's any historical kernel here, but right. Continuing. I've heard from the Hellenes who inhabit the Hellespont, and the Pontus. However, that the Zalmoxis was actually a human being. Here we are with an early form of what we call, what is it when they take a deity and make it into a man?
Humanizing?
Yeah. I don't know why.
Euhemerizing.
Euhemerizing.
Yeah.
Euhemerization or whatever. So Zalmoxis was actually a human being who had been enslaved and served Pythagoras, son of Menarchus on Samos. But he was eventually freed, and then he acquired abundant wealth there before returning to his own land. Now, while the Thracians live a crude life and are rather stupid, kind of blunt to call people, but Zalmoxis knew the Ionian way of life and character, which is more profound than that of the Thracians, and he had associated with Hellenes, including Pythagoras, certainly not the feeblest thinker of the Hellenes. And so he had a banqueting hall built where he hosted and entertained the leading men of the town, and he taught them that neither he nor they, his drinking companions, nor their descendants would die, but that they would come to a place where they would live on and have all good things. So he's saying you won't die. Who else teaches eternal life and that you will never die? I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, this is old stuff. When's Herodotus writing this?
500 BC.
Okay, so this is old school. This is Dionysus days. Like, This is back when this stuff's on the scene. And as he was composing these lessons and relating them to his guest, he was also constructing an underground chamber. A tomb? I don't know. It makes you wonder. When it was completely finished, he vanished from the sight of the Thracians by descending into the chamber and spending 3 years there.
What?
3 years, right? The Thracians missed him and grieved for him as though he had died. But in the 4th year, he appeared to them. And thus, what Zalmoxis had taught them became credible.
Ooh,
that at least is what they said he did. This is what they're telling supposedly Herodotus. And then last he says, I myself do not believe this story about him and the underground chamber, although I do not discount it completely. I do think, however, that this Zalmoxis lived many years before Pythagoras, but whether Zalmoxis was born a human being or exists as some sort of native divinity among the Gitai, let us bid him farewell. At any rate, that is how the Gitai were subdued by the Persians, and they were now following along with the rest of the army. Makes me think of the mythicist historicist argument, like whether he was born of a human being or was just a local deity.
Right.
What the freak? Are we arguing the same crap over and over, or what?
They had the same conversations back then about Zalmoxis as we do about Jesus.
We had to open up the canon, man, with that first super chat. Serious though. Mr. Morpheus, thank you for the super chat, my friend. Great article out. Are our brains the universe within? A U.S. physicist in his first book likens the universe to a cosmic brain and says we humans are miniature models of it.
It's very interesting. I'm not going to lie, but I don't know, man. I don't know if it sounds like something I would say on some LSD or something, like some for shrooms. Man, what if we're the universe?
I think I bought a book.
We're both everything. You're me and I'm you.
I bought a book today, and I cannot remember what the name of it was, but how do you go to recent buys? It's about it's in the vein of this kind of thing, but this sounds more like idealism in some sense, or something like the universe is a brain and it is a conscious mind or something. That doesn't mean that the parts don't mimic the whole. Like there's a pattern, if you will. I don't necessarily believe the universe is conscious though, to use that. But
someone in the chat was asking if we believe Caesar's Messiah, and I said no.
No.
I think they were thinking that because of what we said in the beginning about the Elegies, but that has nothing to do. Caesar's Messiah says that Vespasian is basically Christ. And
yeah. So
I think it's interesting that there are some parallels there, but I just don't see. I think the New Testament writers are completely separate than Vespasian and whatever was going on with the Roman Imperial cult during that time.
Yeah, I would look to Adela Collins. She has a Hermeneia commentary on Mark, and she sees massive connections between the Roman Imperial cult and the Gospels, or at least the Gospel Mark, which means the Synoptics copied Mark, so they must be aware of this. And it really makes you...
Well, the reason why I bring up that comment is because when you try to bring up, as soon as you start talking about the Roman Imperial cult and compare it to the Gospels, they immediately think that you're talking about Caesar's Messiah, and that's not the same thing. Caesar's Messiah is saying something about Vespasian being some sort of secret code in the Gospels, and that to me, I just don't see I'm not trying to be rude or anything. Like I know more than him, but I just don't see it. I'm not sold.
I get it.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I get it. Yeah, and it's interesting read though, nonetheless. But I would be very cautious to jump to conclusions. I think this is. She wrote an article here on this. I think it ties into the Roman Imperial cult. Here we go. Perceptions. Let's see if this is her writing. I wouldn't be shocked. I would just do some look into that because it's in the air. The Roman Imperial cult influenced the entire Roman Empire in some way. It was all over the place. There's another thing I'm reading in the video that's being edited by Neal that goes into this paper called Coming Back to Life. And I think I'm naming the video that Coming Back to Life. This motif, the hero motif and such, it's all in the Roman Imperial cult. It's all in the air. And the gospel writers, I can't imagine not knowing about that. Mr. Morpheus, thank you for that super chat. John Gear says, how much myth money can I get for one Gnostic note?
Let's see. What is the
currency?
Yeah, what's the rates at? I think I'm at 1% right now. 1% of what you're worth.
No, what? Are you kidding me?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
Listen, we'll give you a temporary here, even deal. All right, you can trade even for the myth money.
Inflation's through the roof right now, so you know.
Listen, we know how to get around the inflation here on the myth money. So you can trade $1 of myth money to one Gnostic note, even trade. I'm I'm all for it, bro. Thank you, John, for that super chat. Mr. Monster, so much Greek mythology I see intertwined with the New Testament. How true is this?
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I mean, you mentioned Robin Faith Walsh, and remember, you and I were looking into this. She gave us a couple of passages to look into, and we
looked them up, man.
We looked them up, and she was spot on about this. Do you remember what it was?
Book? It's
the Satyricon.
Yes,
but I don't remember which verse she said it was. We can look it up real quick if you want.
You know what? We could,
because it was fire. It was like undeniable. Like she was onto something, I think. And she's talking about the scene where they're at a dinner party, right? And she thinks there's a mimesis between that and the Last Supper, if I remember correctly. That's the one, yeah. And that's the scene right there. Whoever publisher that is, they use the same exact scene. That's crazy.
I don't remember the verse, but it definitely.
The
cock crows after the 3 times, like the whole 9, bro. It's
just so much that it's like you can't even ignore it.
As far as Greek mythology, I'll throw out one interesting thing I think is the birth of Jesus, virgin birth, right? Just looking at that, like
Alexander's birth when he's Olympias is impregnated by Ammon, while Philip is off to war. She just gets impregnated by a serpent. Like that's amazing. I know it's not the same. I'm not saying the details are the same, but when you take a step back and look at everything from a macro perspective, you start to see miracle birth here. He becomes begotten by God. He does this thing. He does that. Like you start seeing all the connections like that.
All you got to do is read Philo too to kind of see how he has fused. Well, he is. It's not that he had to like manufacture the Hellenism. It's like all he knew. He brags about how he doesn't even know how to read Hebrew.
Right.
He only knows Greek. I'm not going to say he wouldn't know something of Hebrew, but he's like, Greek is my language. And Philo is an Alexandrian Jew who absolutely knew of the Greek myths and incorporated a way of saying that the law of Moses, which we know is for Israelites and those who were slaves or whatnot, maybe that lived in the land, he acted like it was universal.
It's all
which meant, it's competing with really the Platonic idea of like a universal law, natural law and such that the Greco-Roman world had. So he's making the Torah, which is definitely not universal natural law, but they're trying to make it that way. Even the rabbis start to do that. But as far as Greek mythology goes, I would also go into the book of Revelation, which is the most Jewish book in the New Testament. The woman in the wilderness giving birth and running and the dragons ready to devour or consume it. I can't remember the exact myth. It's the myth where Kronos, I think, is eating his children.
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
It's something to this impact is that he's like eating his own children or whatever.
Okay. And then in Revelation 20, what does it say at the end? It says, then Hades and death and Hades were thrown into the pool of fire. If you're a Roman citizen in the year 100 when this comes out and you're reading this for the first time, that you know who those characters are. They're from the Odyssey. Death and Hades are in the Odyssey. They're 2 characters from the Odyssey. Death and Hades. Like, where else did he get them from? He didn't just make this up on the spot. He got it from that. So it's like I get he's trying to be like it's like imagery. It's I get what he's doing. But at the same time, he's still working within the universe of
yeah,
exactly.
It's in the air, bro. It's there. And whether they're getting it directly from, in that particular case, directly from Homer or not, they don't need to. It's in the Greek. Like, you couldn't live in the Greco-Roman world and not know these things. Just walking down the street. You don't even have to read to know these things. Also, I was thinking about Lazarus. When in John, I believe it is. Is it John or Luke? Where's the one where he's like, please just touch your tongue, touch the water and touch my tongue with it?
Oh, that's Luke. That's Luke.
That's Luke.
Yeah.
Okay, because John makes him resurrect from the dead, unlike Luke, where he's like, please send someone back. Contradiction. But nonetheless, it's a different goal. This, he says, is a borrowing from the Greek idea, the Greek myth of Tantalus, where Tantalus is in a lake, right? He's up to here in water. Like he's here. but he can never drink. It's always at his lips, but it can never go in. And he's always thirsty, but can never get the water. And then also there's a dangling fruit that's right above his head, and he can never reach it, and he's always hungry. So his torment in Hades, by the way, is always thirsting and never able to eat. And he's tantalizing, which is an agony. This is exactly what the rich man in the Lazarus story in Luke is doing. So
speaking of Lazarus, when the other Lazarus who gets resurrected, the way the scene is, the sequence of the scene. So a woman comes up to Jesus and she's crying over Lazarus, please heal him. He goes, whatever, fine, does it. Well, there is also, I think it's Ovid. Yeah, it is Ovid, where Artemis is crying because Hippolytus just died. He just got mangled by a chariot, and she's crying. And then here comes Asclepius walking by. Asclepius, please heal Hippolytus, please. Okay, fine, I'll do it. But you know Zeus is gonna be pissed, right? She's like, just do it. He does it. Zeus is pissed, starts throwing thunderbolts and lightning bolts everywhere. But like, you can see the line, like you see the sequence of someone dying, go begging Asclepius to heal him, and Asclepius brings him back against his will. Jesus didn't really want to do it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, there's a point. Are you talking about in the Gospel of John where they're crying to him? In that one, I think, I'm just throwing out what I think right now. This is based on what I know, like thinking. When she's crying and Jesus wept, it says, and he says, woman, I am the resurrection.
Right.
He's going beyond the other gods that are being begged to just resuscitate. He's also saying it's more esoteric, and I think it's more Gnostic in some sense, where he's like saying, listen, that end of days thing that all these apocalyptic figures are saying, that they're talking about, there's going to be a resurrection. No. If you believe in me, you're already alive. And I think that's what John is really trying to do, is take it away from the end in history, and it's trying to make it vertical. But
that's the point of the Gospels, is to, so when you see these like examples of them going beyond what you see in Homer or Euripides Bacchae, with Euripides Bacchae with the Dionysus and the drinking the Eucharist, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus' Eucharist is better than Dionysus' Eucharist. Dionysus' Eucharist just makes you have a fun time, and you become Dionysus, and you get drunk and have a good time. With Jesus' Eucharist, you have eternal life in him. So it's always the point of it is that this is the true religion. All these other gods are just little weak dinglings. Like,
that's what they're trying to convey.
This is the real deal. That's what they're trying to convey. Exactly.
And I mean, one more thing, and then we'll move on, is the birth narrative. Well, not just the birth narrative, the whole thing of Apollonius of Tyana. I mean, like, the guy is born, his mother is she's in, I don't know if she was already, no, she wasn't pregnant. She's in some type of field where flowers are, and a bunch of swan or geese fly around her, and she's pregnant and gives birth to a demigod. So she's impregnated divinely. And then, of course, you've heard Bart Ehrman's, I made that little video clip, the little short of like, I might as well play it. Why not?
Yeah,
let's play it. Let's have a little fun here. All right. Here we go. I think everybody will enjoy this one here. Sharing the screen. I had fun making this one too. All right, here we go. Let me know if you can hear it. Even before he was born, it was known that he would be someone special.
I can only see your face right now.
Mother that the child. You can only see my face right now, but you can hear it.
All right, now it's going.
Okay, let me move this down. All right, play it again. Here we go. I enjoyed this. Even before he was born, it was known that he would be someone special. A supernatural being informed his mother that the child she was to conceive would not be a mere mortal, but would be divine. He was born miraculously, and he would become an unusually precocious young man. As an adult, he left home and went on an itinerant preaching ministry, urging his listeners to live, not for the material things of this world, but for what is spiritual. He gathered a number of disciples around him who became convinced that his teachings were divinely inspired, in no small part because he himself was divine. He proved it to them by doing many miracles, healing the sick, casting out demons, and raising the dead. But at the end of his life, he aroused opposition, and his enemies delivered him over to the Roman authorities for judgment. Still, after he left this world, he returned to meet his followers in order to convince them that he was not really dead, but he lived on a heavenly realm. Later, some of his followers wrote books about him. Everyone meet Apollonius of Tyana. Even before he...
Got him.
I always enjoy that one, man.
Yeah.
I always enjoy that one.
Well, it's true. Everything that's all there. Like that's from what's that writer's name? Philostratus.
Philostratus. Yeah.
I mean, like the narratives are they're they line up, like, you know.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm always interested in connections people make. I just wouldn't be dogmatic about too many. I mean, it's in the air though. It's really, the problem is not, is this a connection that absolutely with 100% certainty must come from this? It's the ridiculous claim that Christianity came on the scene uniquely and no one else had this stuff. There was nothing like this. It is of its own, nothing. It's a bubble that's protected from the whole world it lived in. No, it was not in a vacuum. It abso-freaking-lutely is built from the world in which it is. It is a religion that developed out of the cultural milieu and zeitgeist of the Greco-Roman world. 1,000,000%. So when people act like, well, no, there's no way, this all miraculous, there's no way this happened, there aren't other people who died and came back and appeared to people after their death and stuff. Get out of here, man. Before and after Jesus, this stuff happened. So
You want to hear one more real quick?
one more, give it to me, and then we're getting vaguely agnostic.
Just as Prometheus, I'm going to tell you what it is after I read it. Just listen to what I'm saying, though.
Okay.
Just as Prometheus, bound fast to the Scythian cliff, nourished the constant bird with glut of his stomach, so did Laurelius, hanging from a cross that was no stage prop, offer up his uncovered entrails to the Caledonian bear. His torn joints carried on living as his limbs dropped, and all in his flesh, and no flesh remained. That's Marshall's epigrams.
Ooh.
Talking about someone getting crucified, and like Prometheus, who, by the way, sacrificed himself for the salvation of humanity against Zeus, his father.
Mm.
He's comparing a crucified victim to Prometheus.
Isn't Prometheus also the same god who taught fire to humans and such? Yeah.
Fire, and then he saves Deucalion. He tells Deucalion to build an ark to survive Zeus's flood. That's in Hesiod.
I've actually heard as well that Prometheus was the one who was kind of fetching the sacrifices for Zeus. And when Zeus wanted his filet mignon, he wanted his steak, Prometheus tricked Zeus and put the fat in his jar, but covered it with like a slice of filet mignon, and took the filet mignon and just layered it with the fat. So it looked like he was eating all the nasty guts. Zeus ended up with the bad jar and then was angered at not only Prometheus and cursed Prometheus, but also mankind.
Yeah, Prometheus was always trying to save mankind. Every time you see a myth with Prometheus in it, he's trying to save mankind, which in some way or shape or form. It's crazy.
Vaguely agnostic with the 666. Do you two ever envision topics of ancient Mesoamerican religions?
Yes.
Is there scholarship that can show parallels Indo-European and Mesoamerican religion?
I have a book. Let me grab it.
I honestly don't know connections, but I would 1,000,000% be interested in that. And there's all sorts of stuff. We're just at the beginning, baby. I mean, literally, we are just at the beginning, baby. This is it. Like, MythVision just started. Riding
with horses. It's about Mongolian shamanism. And then there's this one has some stuff about Native Americans as well. Compares the different type of shamans and all that stuff.
Yeah. Man, we just got started. Well, look, Neal's like, I don't know, 5 days old. He just came out of the womb. And let me tell you, we don't know who the daddy was because she was a virgin too. You know what I mean? Gnostic Informant, seriously, like we're just getting started. So I imagine not only will he be interviewing people and going through topics that you just don't find because we're exploring areas you just don't hear on a regular basis. We're becoming the mediators between God and men. And what I mean by that is the educators, as Dennis McDonald calls himself, they call themselves groundhogs. Okay. And he said, Derek, and I know Neal's this too, you guys are foxes and you run to all the groundhogs and we dig deep in the earth and we uncover these interesting things. And then you foxes run off and share this information wide where we have specialized focus. You guys will try and pack it to where a general public will find interest in these topics. That's the whole point, because most people would need to go and get a PhD, or you need to go here or there in order to acquire this kind of information, or go read massive books in the library. And we're trying to sandwich it and pack it for a day and age where you want your hamburger cooked in less than 3 minutes and in your hands ready to eat. TikTok is so popular because 60-second clips, 15-second clips are what people want. We're trying our best to give this information to a broader audience. So I also want to get that stuff that they just don't talk about in public. Like, I never knew the Roman Imperial cult when I first started with MythVision, even after hearing of Joseph Atwell's theories and stuff, didn't even know that there were real, serious, legit mainstream academics who saw connections between the Roman Imperial cult and the Gospel of Mark. I said, holy crap, I need to look into this. Anyway, Indo-European and Mesoamerican religion, though, I know a scholar who studies the glyphs and the writings and the scratches, if you will, of calendar writings and whatnot of the Indians that were here in Salt Lake City area and stuff like that. And John Knight Lundwall, he knows a lot about that. Who's the guy who does the ancient Mesopotamian connections to astrotheology that we've had on?
Oh, that's John McHugh.
So I don't know if
I've had him on twice. He's good.
I don't know if he would have any connections to the Native American.
No, that's the other book he wrote.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're thinking of the right person.
Yeah, we need to get them to see if they have any connections to any other.
He told me he would like to come on and do an episode on Native American religion.
Okay. I'm wondering what kind of connections.
I'm totally down for, which sounds really awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Where is it? Because we know there's something. Where is it connected to maybe Indo-European, Proto-Indo-European religions?
Yeah, you never know.
And we need to get John Craigenford, White. We need to get him on to talk about this stuff too, because he would know about the Odin and Thor and you name it.
Skyfather.
I always enjoyed the games too, like God of War and stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Thank you for that super chat, vaguely. Greg Jeffries, regarding Roman influence, please consider interviewing Roman historians Mike Duncan. Exploring Christianity as populist reaction against Republican transformation to imperial governance.
Oh yeah. That's what we were just talking about. Like the Augustan era was a transformation from the
Republic,
Republic into this imperial dynasty, basically. But there's a lot of stuff transferring between those two, as far as religion goes.
I will email if I could find one. I always do this. And thank you for that super chat. I am all about bringing on academics who can educate the general public and blow our minds with tidbits of information like this stuff. So thank you, Greg, for that. Did you want to add anything, Neal?
No, but I'm going to run to the bathroom real quick. Be right back.
You're not allowed. I'm just kidding. Oh, snap. Look, Sherry D, thank you for the super chat. Sherry, you two are so entertaining. I really enjoy your channels. Everything is the golden ratio. Hallelujah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I'm going to have to say it again when he gets here because he's going to need it. There he is. I'm talking about Craigenford, and here he is in the chat, everybody. I don't know if he's still in the chat. Let me scroll down and see if he's still in the chat. John, are you still here, brother? I'm looking. I'm scrolling. Bear with me, please. Did he leave? He said it was like 1 a.m. where he's at, so he's over in Europe. I don't know where. I don't see him. John, please. Okay, fine. He's asleep. I guess I'll let him sleep. I could call him on. No, I'm not gonna do that. It's way too early. He has a family. I do that kind of crap. You guys know me. You can't blame me. All right, I'm only this guilty. Okay, so you can't blame me completely. But yes, if you haven't subscribed to John's channel, literally Craig and Ford, you are missing out on very interesting Indo-European mythology, the history, what's going on, the oldest known myths we can think of. Ladies and gentlemen, this was a great show, and thank you for tuning in. Have a good day. All right, Neal, have a good one, bro.
All right, later, guys.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, I thought you were ending right when I said that.
I'm kidding, dude. I'm kidding. I was trying to play like you missed out on some stuff. But Sherry D, thank you. She says, you two are so entertaining. I really enjoy your channels. Everything is the golden ratio.
Oh yeah. Me and John from Center Place. John is it John
Hammond?
Yeah. We were talking about that, how it's interesting when you look around. Like Da Vinci was into this. Da Vinci wrote a whole book called Divina Proportione, of the divine proportion, the golden rectangle, where he sees in nature all these proportions that are called the golden ratio. And we were talking about it. It's like, oh, it's interesting. Like it makes you feel like you're part of something bigger, you know?
Well, who was it? And I can't remember, so I could be completely wrong here. I could use your help. There was someone who found numbers. Maybe it was back in the time of Pythagoras. Someone who found numbers that did not line up with the numbers that they were calculating and figuring out. So they killed them.
Yeah.
They literally killed them.
Pythagoras. The Pythagoreans, their cult was so obsessive with number that when somebody discovered an irrational number,
something wrong, yeah,
they're like, that person has to die because that can't happen. Everything has to be perfect. The universe is clockwork perfect.
Yeah,
It's not. If you think about it, it's not. Like we don't have 12 perfect months. We have to add a little bit of. We have to add leap years and all. That's like it's all off a little bit. It's not perfectly fine tuned. But the Pythagoreans thought it was, and if anyone said otherwise, they'd kill them.
Yeah, they're a little bit nutty. Thank you, Sherry, for the super chat. Robert Herring in the hizzy. The universe is conscious. If we are, it is. So, Robert, you're coming from more of a what is we got to define terms here. You know, conscious is this? It's a mind. It actually is aware and such. I'm not so sure. I'm with Shannon Q on this one, my friend. She says, what are we trying to see? Here, hit this. You'll see what I'm talking about. Here, try it. You'll see. Good to see Shannon in the chat. Doc Pleroma not in the hizzy. I got another super chat, I think, in the house here. Let me see. Here we are. Curious your opinions. Doc, you're going to hurt my feelings and then embarrass me with your freaking brilliant questions. All right, here we go. Curious your opinions. Had Paul and the gospel writers known they were writing for a New Testament and how their words would later be used for anti-Semitism, might they have toned down the crazy? Well, this is my opinion. That's factoring in, had they known, because in Paul's mind, and I'll factor in the synoptics in this, most likely Mark and Matthew, they thought the end was in a week, in a year. They couldn't anticipate the future. So we have to also factor in that they weren't thinking the end was any moment now.
Yeah,
so
but I also think they were the gospel writers were trying to be anti-Semitic. If you think about it, like cursing the fig tree, who's supposed to represent the nation of Israel.
Right.
It's clear to me.
That's not clear. The synoptics. That's why I was saying, like in John, I'm with you. Like it's pretty clear the Jews are to blame in John, and they want to blame the Jews and such. I'm 50-50 on Matthew. Rabbi's coming on Wednesday, or Tuesday, tomorrow. Rabbi Tovi Singer's coming on. Pick his brain and get his thoughts on this. But I think that if they thought there was still going to be an enduring future to the world, and they knew this was going to happen, don't you agree, Neal, that they wouldn't have probably said things the way they would, or they would have added caveats. Listen, I'm only talking about the Jews here in Judea over the next decade or so, okay? So don't take my words out of context.
That is a good question. The question is, but the better question is, do they even think that this thing was going to take off the way it did? Because if you had to go back in time to one of these epistle writers or gospel writers and be like, do you think this is going to be the biggest religion in the world for 1,000 years? What do you think? They probably would be like, hell no, right? I don't know.
No, I mean, like I said, I think Paul's so the end is near apocalyptic in his thinking.
Yeah,
that I don't think he's thinking. I think he thinks this is the true religion. This is the final religion. All of the daemons, the demons, and all the archons and everything are about to be defeated. Right. And Jesus, his Christ, is going to reign supreme. So I don't think he can see anything beyond.
They're not even thinking about that.
I don't think they are. But with the question, had Paul and the gospel writers known they were writing for a New Testament, that's a whole nother can of worms. I think they would have toned down. I think he would have added words and said different things. And this is another thing, granting everything we're reading is really from in the words of Paul. Now, going to the gospel, we don't know who the actual writers were, but even if whoever they were, I don't think they would have written it this way. Now, that's why we get to John, and you wonder, maybe Matthew, but John and its anti-Jewish tendencies, I don't know, bro. I don't know. This is a great question.
It is.
Because if John does not like Jews and is saying, you guys effed up, you did not accept the Christ, you're going to be condemned and damned and blah, 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 maybe he'd heat it up a little. I don't know. If he hates Jews, we can't read the author's mind.
That's true. That's a good point.
But this is a great question. It's fun to speculate.
Doc Pluroma always has the good questions.
Sometimes I can't read them.
Sometimes
They're so intense. I'm like,
it's too much for me.
How do you pronounce this word, Doc? You know? Oh, man. I love you, man. I really do. And I love everybody in the audience. I mean that. When you faced moments of almost dying and you realize, like, this can all go in no time, you really try to show compassion and empathy and whatnot. And Neal, you've been there, bro. You know the struggle. You know what it's like. Your brother, I don't know if you are public. I know we were public about it in one situation where I hosted for you during a live stream. But before we do wrap things up, and I'm going to get to Robert's super chat here in just a minute. But my question is, do you mind sharing what's going on in your brother's situation to the audience, just so they're aware?
Yeah, no, I don't mind. I told people that he had he overdosed last, what is it, November, I think it was. No, it was after that. It was December, and
it's your twin brother too, by the way.
Yeah, he almost passed away, but he survived, and now he's pretty much in a hospital. Like, that's where he's going to be for a while. I don't, dude, I swear, I apologize if I brought this up and this is a sore spot and stuff. I literally just I can't tell you how therapeutic it is when I see a chat in the audience, the people in the audience who actually care, to let you know, bro, we're here for you. You struggled with addiction in the past. I've struggled with addiction. I'm almost 7 years in October. And I'm happy. I don't want to ever go back. On 5, actually, in December. Dude, congrats, man. I'm 2 years. It's funny because you started a YouTube channel 2 years before me. And also, you're also 2 years clean before me. It's like this weird. Wait. Also, I'm turning 33 in October. How old are you? I am 33. So you're like almost 2 years older than me too. It's weird, dude. Yeah, that's weird. It's too weird, dude. It is such a weird thing. But I wanted to say that, like, we got you, man. No, I know. Like, I know. We care. We got you. A lot of you who are probably watching this right now, who have reached out when it all went down and offered help in any way, like, trust me, that really meant a lot, and it still does. So you're gonna come down to North Carolina sometime soon, dude. Yeah, you got to. I've been cleaning my pool. I told you all that I'm taking weekends off to spend time with my family. I had my boys out there with me, and we were vacuuming the pool up, getting it right. You're going to have to come down. We'll have to do some filming together, bro. Definitely. And we're going to Israel too. So
We are in October. I'm saying before October, though. You got to get down here. You got to get down here. All right. Few super chats here. Robert Herring in the house. You are conscious. You are part of the universe. Therefore, the universe is conscious. If life is common, so is consciousness. Don't diss half my economy.
wait, so
One half of my economy.
wouldn't that also mean that the house that I'm in right now should be conscious then?
Well, some people think that. Some people think that everything is conscious. Rocks, everything. Atoms are conscious to some people.
Well, then what is conscious? Is it just
that depends on what like for me, I think it's a mental faculty. I think it's something that we have evolved to develop over the millions of years that allows us to survive better and to have more equal, to able to use less energy, to be able to succeed in survival. I think everything tries to do that, but I do think it comes down to the brain. And until I have, for me, right, empirical data that's going to show that consciousness is beyond our minds, that we in our brains, that are a natural thing, that somehow, even if I can't understand it completely, how this happens, I need empirical evidence to suggest that it's like a soul or a spirit or something else is going on. And I think Shannon Q, actually, who was in the chat here earlier, debated Darth Dawkins, and
I saw that.
Oh my God, it was like, but she brings some good points up.
It wasn't even like he was trying to talk. It was like he had a script that he was trying to read, and it was like one person trying to talk, the other person trying to read a script. So hard to watch because of that. But
I don't enjoy his stuff.
But Shannon just wins just by her politeness. Like that's crushed him. It's just, that's awesome.
You saw how she the other night, like
4-on-1, and they had 3-on-1, and then all of a sudden they couldn't, and they're like, wait, before you go, we got one more person that wants to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Like, oh, by the way, 4-on-1. Was that a good enough answer? They're like, no. I'm like, okay. Oh, before you go, we want to talk about trans people real quick. I'm like, oh my God, this is the worst.
When she left, what's the dude's name that I told you is just annoying?
Geo,
yeah. He's in there. He's like, she left at the right time, huh? And I'm thinking, dude, you all just got bent over and spanked, okay? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean?
Oh man, like how do you just host somebody that you don't know and treat them that way though? Even if I was gonna have a Christian on or somebody, a Muslim, I'm not gonna do that. Like to me, I just don't understand that. I
think you and me have a lot more in common in the way that we host and want to bring out the best in our guests, even if we disagree with them, right, or we aren't sure, whatever. The guy today I interviewed on Islam, I did 4 videos actually with him, and my head was hurting after it was that long. But he said at the end, he's like, that'll be on Patreon soon. I'm going to edit that and put that out. But he's like, Derek, he said, find people who are critical because you're too good of a host. You're too nice and you want to like bring the best out of me. But I need people to pick this thing apart. So I encourage the audience to do that. And I like that too. But I definitely want to give them the chance to speak. And to me, it feels wrong to have anyone and everyone come on. I'm picking their stuff apart as if I know the answer to this. I'm dogmatically right.
No,
so I'm going to pick your stuff apart because I'm right. You're wrong. That's not my philosophy.
I treat people online the way I would want to treat people if they were in my house. Like I try to keep that same mentality. If you're sitting in front of my computer screen, it should be the same way as you would be if you're sitting in front of me in person. But I see other people like the show we were talking about with that host Shannon. I don't think they would act like that if she was in front of their faces in their living room.
Yeah.
The way they were coming at her, and I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I get it. Trust me. You and me talked about it. I even messaged her right after. I was like, what the hell? That was not right. Robert. Okay, man, you win. Robert, you win. Now, I get it. There's plenty of people who think the universe is conscious, that they think there's a mind outside of the universe. They think the universe itself is a mind. They think everything inside of it is conscious. And I would probably define consciousness a bit different, maybe. Anyway.
It's an interesting thing to think about, that's for sure.
Yeah. Gaius Julius Windex. Every time I read that, I want to say Caesar, but thank you for the super chat. When do you think Gnostics began? Gnostics.
Well, it depends on how you define Gnostics, first of all. Now, I'll define it as a religious movement within any, could be Judaism, it could be paganism, who believe in the concept of gnosis, salvation through gnosis rather than faith. That's what I like to do. Now, I guess other people would say it's the demiurge theory, but I think the form of Gnosticism, the dualist Gnosticism of gnosis and the demiurge and all that stuff, I think it starts right around the time when the Ptolemies are translating the Septuagint into Greek. I think that's when you start getting these little Gnostic, these Egyptian cults of Gnostics before Christianity. I personally think that. I could be wrong. A lot of people think it came after Christianity. I don't think so. I think it started. I think not Judaism, Gnosticism started first, and I think it happened. I think it happened in Alexandria, Egypt.
Right. That doesn't shock me. Mystery religions were floating around. I mean, like, wouldn't shock me one way or the other. And I bet you if we talk to the more serious academics who study this material inside and out, they're probably not dogmatic either. They'll make a case for why, but they're probably like, it could be this position or not. It's usually the apologetics that comes in and says, absolutely not. And it can't be before, so that it can't have influence on anything we find in the New Testament, so that I'm not wrong, you know? Because I already started with my answer, which is I'm right. And everything else is wrong. Yeah. But great question. And what does it mean by Gnostics, especially when scholars don't like the category? Like, what does it mean to put people in a separate category and call them Gnostics when Gnostics didn't agree with Gnostics? Well, what the heck is that?
Right. And I think the whole Christian Gnosticism that we all know with Valentinians and the Marcus Magus and Simon, that's like 150 AD-ish, around there. 200, maybe somewhere in between there, like 175. That's when all that takes off.
Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. Robert Herring in the hizzy again. Why do you guys rule? First, define that term. Robert, man, always like to see you in the chat. I appreciate everybody in here, everybody in the chat. I have a lot of integrity. I'm just making sure I covered. X Music says, no, Derek, your show is a great relief from the ridiculous atheist debate channels. Don't go changing. Thank you. Look, there are plenty of wonderful other channels you can listen to talking about the same ancient cosmology debates and Kalam cosmology. Oh, actually, I want to show everybody something here, like just to tease, if that's okay with you, Neal.
Yeah.
All right, real fast. Little something I'm editing right now. Dude, we're working so hard. I'm like, pushing stuff to Neal too. So I've got right here in this little, where did it even go? I just popped it up and now I can't even see it. Okay, here it is. This one right here is like,
it's needed. That's your folder.
And it's needed. Yeah. Critical Quran I did with Robert Spencer. He wrote a book actually, and I got it right here where he's taking a critical approach to the Quran. Lots of information in here. Worth checking out. And so I did an interview with him. We talked about some of that and his Did Muhammad Exist stuff. Philosophy. This is what I was going to show you. I'm going to pop this out in a second. But then Paul Ellis, we did the Talmud, and then Karen Del Carriere. So let me unshare again. Or is that even a word? Stop sharing? I'll just say stop sharing. Philosophy. This is what I wanted to tease everybody with. Just to show what I'm editing right now. I did a video with not genetically modified, Rationality Rules.
Nice. I like that channel.
Yeah, my buddy Steven and Graham Oppie, and we talk about philosophy and some hard-hitting stuff. We go after William Lane Craig's ideas, Kalam. We even bring up, where's the book? He popped it up for a second. He brings up, oh, there it is. Look what book we pop up.
We all have
God and Anatomy. And he's like, what is that about? And I almost said, God's dick. I mean, if you haven't read it, then you don't know. Literally.
It is, though.
It really, like,
There's
3 chapters.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, listen to the titles.
Is it the phallus or something like that?
I got to read them, honestly.
I think it's the phallus, I think the name of the chapter.
All right. All right, number 1, dissecting the divine. 2, grounding. 3, footloose. 4, sensational feet, right? And that's under the part 1, which is feet and legs. Part 2 is genitals.
Right.
Okay. 5 is cover up. 4 is phallic masculinities.
Yeah.
7, perfecting the penis. 8, divine sex. Number 3, part 3, torso, back and beyond, inside out, from belly to bowel. And then it goes on. And then at the end, it's an autopsy. She does an autopsy on God.
One. That is the best chapter in the whole book.
It's heavy, bro.
Yeah.
It's just this inspired me and Derek Bennett to do that video that we call Jesus is Dead presentation.
Yeah.
And he there's some famous Italian artist or something drew this corpse of Jesus. Like literally he's a corpse. It's like gruesome. The details in it, his fingers are purple. Like he is dead, rotting body. And he said, title this one, Jesus is Dead. And then he had the final conclusion was the autopsy. And it was like, oh my gosh, this was good. Powerful stuff.
Yeah, it is.
Really, really is. All right, couple more, and then I'm gonna let you go. Okay. Everybody can cash out your myth money for Gnostic notes. Okay. Apollo in the house. Thank you, Apollo, for shining your bright sunlight upon us. Thank you for the super chat, my friend. Scott Duke, did you get a super chat, man? Did I miss?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think you missed somebody. It's $9.99. He says he pre-ordered and found Christianities.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on, here it is. Oh, okay, hold on. There's another one. How did I miss that? Did it like?
You must have skipped over.
Bro, I'm sorry. I really didn't even see these. So, Jason Sobek, Lord of the Four Corners. For Roman history, no one better than Edward Watts.
I'll have to write that down. Edward Watts.
Edward Watts. All right. And that's Roman history. I'm actually falling in love more and more with the Roman history stuff, man.
Yeah.
And then Greek history, too. My buddy wants me to play that game. Assassin's Creed, the Greek one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I've been playing that.
Okay, Edward Watts. Scott Duke said, Derek, I pre-ordered Found Christianities months ago, and it still hasn't arrived. Nothing your fault. I just want some love from people who understand. I definitely did not.
There might be a reason why, because I know that M. David Litwell was coming out with a new paperback version or something that wasn't supposed to be ready for like around now, I think. If you look up on Amazon, you might have pre-ordered it and didn't realize it. That's what I'm getting at. Just look it up on Amazon and just make sure. I'm telling you.
You know, I couldn't tell based off the book, but I do wonder if the publisher mailed this to me because they do have my address. And sometimes I get like, I'm lucky with all the books I get that the publishers will send me a copy. And I'm wondering if that's how I got my copy early. I don't know. But
yeah, no, you got the other one that was is yours hardcover or no?
No.
Okay, well, I'm not sure then. But anyways, there could be something. I would just call Amazon then. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Scott, listen, may mercies pour down upon you by the myth gods and all of their demigods. And
look it says right here, publication date, April 28th, 2022. That's like less than a week ago.
I just got mine in the mail yesterday.
But that's what I'm saying. There must have been a new version or something that came out. So it might be coming now. It might be coming soon now. Like now it might be coming out. Is what I'm getting at. But if it doesn't, you should call.
Scott, I apologize. I missed your super chat, my friend. You know I would never mean to do that. So thank you for calling me out, though. Seriously. I thought we were almost done. I was moving on. He's like, hold on. What the heck? Back to Apollo. Thank you for the shining light that you bring down upon us. And it says open-mindedness and AA works. Hey, it does. There's plenty of routes that work too, you know.
I did it for a while. I did it.
Hey, I went for a year and a half.
I got the gray tag.
Now I go back and get a coin or whatever.
Let me see if you can guess what a gray tag is. Let's see how hardcore you are. What's a gray tag?
Gray?
Yeah.
Well, it depends on where you're from. And by the way, that means you're an NA.
Yeah. So you know.
Yeah.
All right. So you
Yeah. Because I know both groups.
Do you remember what that meant though?
Gray?
Yeah.
I don't.
18 months.
18 months? Okay. Yeah, see,
No, I'm not saying that I didn't stay clean longer than that. I just stopped going after that.
Okay,
So
yeah, I get it.
I could be going right now and getting 2 years and all that stuff, but I just, not for
I
me.
go for anniversaries, man. It
has a very religious culty feeling.
Yeah. The people get so, yeah. I feel you. Trust me, I get it. I still go for anniversaries to show people like it can be done.
Sure.
And it gives people hope.
Yeah, exactly.
Johnny Spinoza, thank you for the super chat. Please have on Rosicrucian Freemason to give context to their beliefs. They were definitely shapers of Enlightenment founding fathers. I have a 32nd degree Freemason that I've actually interviewed on my channel before, but I need
Angela Puka, her scholarship, her specialty, she does a lot of work on the Rosicrucians and the occults, stuff like that.
Yeah,
I might have to have her on for that.
I'm gonna definitely look into the Rosicrucian stuff. I do have a Freemason friend that I think we're due for another follow-up. He looks for esoterics within movies as well. So like he'll like pick apart the Matrix and show you ancient esoterics that are being taught within the Matrix or whatever, stuff like that. In other movies. Thank you, Johnny, for the super chat. I will definitely do my best to look up. And then sometimes these super chats, when we have these conversations, draw people who are of these academic persuasions or coming from these backgrounds to email me. Now, if I think that they email me and I think they're just crazy sounding, I'm not going to entertain it. And I get a lot of that. Trust me.
Yeah, right.
You get it too, Neal?
Yeah.
Oh, bro, there's some people that I'm like, the mark of the beast is Mars, connected to the astroglides of the heavenly bodies. Whoa, dude! Like you're really thinking stuff. Anyway, Gary, topic discussed. My buddy Gary says, "Love you, dudes.
Love you too.
Love you too, man. Thank you so much." He's Gary's
a good guy.
That reminds me, I need to get the ex Mormon buddy of mine to come on here, Backyard Professor, with him.
He's been going live a lot lately.
I know.
He's into it now. You got him started. You woke up the beast.
I wonder how people would feel going if I went live more than once in a day. Because the problem is, and I'm just going to admit the problem out loud. Everyone needs to know this. This is just me, and this is the content creator life for me and Neal.
Yeah.
Going live is easy because I don't have to edit any of this. All I have to do is make sure it's monetized when we're done. That's it. But when you do pre-records and then you have to edit and then you have to export and then you have to do this and that, it's much more difficult. And I'm wondering if I did more than one live a day, I just also don't want to hog all the time on YouTube. I care about other content creators getting attention. I care about the platform. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Yeah, I wonder how the algorithm would work out if you just kept like jumping on every couple. You know what I mean? I don't know if it would. I think it would hurt you a little bit. I'm not. I could be wrong.
I don't know. I just say not every day. I'm saying like an occasional, maybe one day out of a week. Because there's now that my schedule's Monday through Friday. Remember, I was working every day, and then that recent issue with my kid's ear, and I went to the hospital. It made me panic, and I realized like I don't have forever here, and like I don't think anybody on their deathbed is thinking, man, I should have spent more time working on videos on YouTube. I think they're going to think like I should have spent more time with my baby, and my wife, and like, that kind of stuff. So I want to take Saturdays and Sundays off unless an occasional like, showdown or debate or something's coming up. I really need that time. So if I could sandwich an additional live through the week, that'd be cool. Don't know.
Right.
But I say that because I got to get a lot of episodes going. Gary, thank you, man. He says also, oh, by the way, not just a Mormon, but I'm also a Freemason, Master Mason at that.
32nd degree.
Ooh. Guess who's coming on to MythVision sometime soon? I got to get you hooked up with Gary, too.
Yeah,
Neal 13 Sex. KC still owns you.
What's that mean?
Still owns you.
What's KC?
It's esoteric. The number 13 means. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
KC. I don't
Casey, Doc, help us out. I'm looking for your chat, man. You got to give us a little decoder here.
KC.
We don't have eyes to see or ears to hear the truth.
Kansas City? Kansas City owns
Oh, 13 sacks.
Oh, the Bills. You talking about the Bills game? Oh,
what's going on right now?
Dude, I forgot about. No, the Bills were in the playoffs. Yeah, he just said Bills Mafia reference. I didn't know you knew about. I wasn't even thinking that this was in the ballpark of what you were getting at. I thought you were thinking about some scripture thing. But the last game of the Bills season last year in the playoffs, the Bills were winning. They scored a touchdown with 13 seconds left. That's all they had to do was hold them off for 13 seconds, and Kansas City scored, and the Bills lost. Everyone in Buffalo started crying. Everyone's getting drunk that night. It was like crazy. The whole city lost their mind over it.
Look at you, dude. You're like, you're all into it. People are like, dude, aren't you into the football? And I'm like, I actually don't watch football. If
you lived in Buffalo, you'd know.
I know I wouldn't be allowed not to. It'd be a sin.
Just a default thing. You just have to. It's like,
yeah, I don't really get into it because I'm so busy doing everything else I never did. It's weird. You can hate me now. Neal, tell us. Well, I might as well pop it up, man. It's not like a typical live. This is me and you hanging out, brother. Mano y mano, man. Let me pop your YouTube channel up, brother. And I want to show a few things about you that nobody knows. These are the dark back page, and what is it? It's back page, and it's the OnlyFans. The pornographic sites. Everybody wants to know what you've been doing. So
dark web. That's what it is.
Dark web stuff that Neal has been doing. I'm about to show everybody. So just be ready for that. Okay. Don't judge him though. Don't judge him. Just look at it. Okay?
By the way, if you subscribe in the next 24 hours, you might get $1 million, but you might not. It's worth a try, though, right?
Right? I mean,
it's worth a shot.
If you subscribe, you might not die, or you might die.
You might as well try.
I mean, we're using the same Christianity argument right now. You do not want to run from this. This could be true. Do you want to risk it? Do you want to risk it?
Right.
No, you don't. You want to subscribe so you don't die.
By the way,
even if it's not true.
By the way,
what I mean?
Just so you guys know, tomorrow morning, first thing in the morning, I'm dropping a video I did with Simka Jakovici from The Naked Archaeologist. That video is getting dropped in the morning. On my Patreon is an exclusive video I did with Rabbi Tobias Singer about Daniel and what it actually means about the Messiah being cut down. So those are two Patreon you got to pay for, but tomorrow morning for free you'll get the Simca.
Man, I gotta pop your
Patreon.
Yeah, I gotta show that so that everybody knows that they don't have to die. They can, they can live. They can live. It's up to you. You know. Let me just show that. We are wrapping up here. I just want to make sure that you understand the truth. He has the Patreon, and he is doing early access. He also has a members tab. Dude, I applied for it today. I did not even realize that I could do this. That's how much I work. I don't even realize that I could have a members option. So when we do lives, people have different emojis or whatever attached to their names and stuff.
Right.
Didn't even know about it.
Yeah, and you can get a better connection to me if you need that. If you want to ask me stuff, you want to just chat about.
Yeah.
You want to just chat about ancient myths? Let's sign up, man.
Dude, you're awesome, Neal. Keep doing what you're doing, bro. And thank you for all the help that you do. Every video you see edited by Gnostic Informant, just know he works very hard. And I really do appreciate him. Gary's back again. I could deep dive into the connections between Mormonism, Masonry, and polygamy. I'm a wannabe scholar. Oh, no, he really can, though. That's a fact. Thank you, Gary, for another super chat. And then Doc Pluralmanot said, seed faith for you both.
Nice.
Thank you so much. Seriously. Go join his Patreon. He is a very good friend of mine, and Neal is going to keep bringing stuff. He's interviewing people I haven't. Sometimes we're going to overlap. He's also bringing me people I've never met. So it's not a one-way street. Me and him are mano y mano brothers, man. And I do want to help him in any way I can, especially for everything that Neal does for me. Also, YouTube, go subscribe. Like I said, you don't want to die, right? I don't want to die. You know what I'm going to do right now? I'm going to unsubscribe. And I'm going to subscribe right now because I want to make sure that I don't die. You see how we work?
Yeah.
It's real, bro. This is real. Seriously, any final words you'd like to say to the audience, Neal?
Well, I think you'd have all just attained true gnosis.
You think so?
Think so.
Or you know so?
I have the gnosis, so yeah, I know so.
You know so.
Yeah.
I also know we are MythVision.
Don't any of you have the guts to play for blood?
I'm your huckleberry. That's just my game.